Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Victoria Adewi. I'm a master's student and MasterCard Foundation scholar at SciencesPo Paris. Before we proceed, I'd like to share a special milestone with you guys. We surpassed 100 subscribers on this channel. When I filmed my first video, even if no one watches, I didn't know so much what to expect. So thank you for watching, for subscribing, for tuning in, and for trusting me to bring you back. In this video, I'll be sharing with you how I moved to Paris to study at SciencesPo for free through a MasterCard Foundation scholarship program. Let me start by rolling through the important costs that are necessary for me to be studying here and how much I actually contributed to it. We have application fee, visa-related costs, tuition fee, flight, accommodation, and how much did I actually have to spend from my own pockets, €0, plus many much more benefits like living expenses, administrative support, and arrival support. It's like getting paid to go to school, getting paid to pursue your dreams. I hope this gives you an insight into some of the benefits of the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program at SciencesPo. In this video, I'm going to share with you the information I know about applying sharing from my experience. Truth is, there's so many detailed information about the application process, the admission, and the scholarship on the SciencesPo website. It is where you always find the most updated information that you need. But whether you are currently applying or preparing your application for the future, these things might have changed by the time you be finally applying. I would attach a few links in the description below, so it's always easy for you to check it out. Since we have established that, let's get right into the video. SciencesPo is one of the Ivy Leagues of France, the number one in the European Union in politics and international relations, and it is ranked the 4th in the world. If you're interested in politics, international relations, public policy, economic, and any other related fields in social science, SciencesPo is the place to be. I like to refer to SciencesPo as a political powerhouse. It has produced about 29 presidents and prime ministers across France and other French-speaking countries. 6 out of 8 French presidents after the World War II studied here, including the current French president, Emmanuel Macron. So it gives you a very rich alumni network, which is one of the very attractive parts of SciencesPo. Is a fully sponsored scholarship awarded to young Africans across the African continent. It gives you the access to study in some of the best universities around the world. We're talking universities like Oxford, Cambridge, and many more. If you also know more about the MasterCard Foundation scholarship programs and how we can apply to other partner universities, I've made a comprehensive video explaining everything you need to know and how you can apply. Please check it out, especially if you're not specifically eligible to apply to the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program at SciencesPo, or you want to keep your options open and apply to other partner universities outside SciencesPo. For clarity, at the time of making this video, at SciencesPo, the scholarship program only sponsors the 2-year regular master's program. In order to apply to the scholarship program at SciencesPo, you actually have to be eligible to SciencesPo itself. So let's first get into the requirements for SciencesPo and we'll proceed into the process for the scholarship. If you're not an EU citizen, you have to be applying through the international admissions procedure. SciencesPo has 8 graduate schools: School of Public Policy, School of Management and Impact, Paris School of International Affairs, and others. And each graduate school has several programs that they offer. It is very important to know the specific program you want to study, in what graduate school it is offered, and the specific value that you are aiming to get out of the program. So if you're not sure yet, but you're finding it difficult to make a choice, each program at SciencesPo has a dedicated website. I would advise you to look at them, study the program objectives, the deliverables, the prerequisites, kind of courses that they offer, to see if you actually see yourself enjoying it. I think most of the websites even have information that details the kind of organizations students who have graduated from the program are now working in. Very well detailed information, I would say. So you can look out this information and then compare them to the other programs that you might be having a conflicting interest in. Hopefully, this helps you in making an informed decision in choosing the program to study. So choosing the program, you should verify the prerequisite for the program and ensure it's something that you can satisfy. For example, the language of the program. SciencesPo has English taught programs and French taught programs. You also want to check out the references and other additional documents that you might be needing for your specific program. For example, if you're going for the master Masters in Public Policy program English track and you're choosing the Public Policy and Economic Policy stream, you're expected to have completed introductory courses in microeconomics and macroeconomics at the undergraduate level. Other necessary requirements for all of the graduate programs are also included on this website. I'll add the link in the description box below. For GPA requirements, SciencesPo has minimum GPA requirement that you have to satisfy, depend on the grading method that each country uses and what is considered excellent in different countries according to their grading systems, which I think is very fair for all applicants coming from diverse backgrounds. For Nigeria, that is if you hold a bachelor's degree certificate from Nigeria, the GPA requirement is 68% or 3.5 over 5 or 6 over 7. For Ghana, the GPA requirement is 65% or 3.6 over 4 or 4 over 5 points. If you hold a bachelor's degree from another country, you should be checking the grading requirements for the country that you had your degree in. Again, I'll add the link to the website where you can verify all the minimum requirements for different countries in the description. And you also have to submit your official transcripts. Emphasis on official transcript. Usually, you should be able to request this from the relevant authorities in your respective university. From what I know, SciencesPo is quite strict with the minimum GPA requirements. So if you don't meet up with the GPA requirements, maybe you want to be saving your energy to look for other universities that you can be applying to. But if your faith is stronger than your doubts and you want to shoot your shot regardless, then I will pray for you. Language is also a very important requirement to be studying in SciencesPo. For English Top program, you usually need to provide proof of English proficiency. This is most likely if you're not a native English speaker, I suppose. For French Top programs, you majorly need to provide proof of French proficiency, like TCF or DAF, C1. Some programs also require GRE or GMAT. So for my case, I applied for the Masters in International Governance and Diplomacy at the School of International Affairs, which is an English Top program. I did not need GRE or GMAT for my program, and I particularly did not have to submit an English test score because I had my 4-year undergraduate degree in Ghana, fully taught and fully assessed in English language, which I guess confirmed my proficiency in English. So what I used as a proof of English proficiency rather was a letter of English proficiency given to me by my university. So I guess if you have your undergraduate degree taught and assessed in English language or French language, you could request for such a letter to verify your proficiency in either of the languages. What I do know for sure is that you can request this for most universities in Ghana and in Nigeria. If you learn this for the first time, it's probably because you don't know that it is possible. I recommend that you ask from your universities. SciencesPo usually have multiple application rounds and deadlines. This changes every year. The application cycle for the 2026 academic year have about 5 application rounds and deadlines. On early October, the first deadline is 19th of October 2025. If you submit within the first deadline, you would hear whether you have been accepted before 18th of December 2025. If you submit within the second deadline of 30th November 2025, you will hear whether you have been admitted before 19th February 2026. If you submit within the third deadline of 4th January 2026, you would get feedback on your admission status by 2nd April 2026. And if you submit by the 4th deadline of 1st February 2026, you would get feedback by 23rd April 2026. And if you apply by the last deadline of 22nd February 2026, you get an admission decision before 4th January 2026. If you want to apply to the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program at SciencesPo, which is the meeting that we're talking about in this video, you must apply within the first 3 deadlines. That is all not before the deadline of the third round, which in this case, for the 2026 admission cycle, it is the 4th of January 2026. There are also other scholarships like the EFL Scholarship and the Emily Beaton Scholarship that you can also apply for. The details are on the university website. If you want to apply for the IFO Scholarship, you usually have to submit within the first round of the application. And if you want to apply for the Emily Pitney Scholarship, you usually have to submit within the first 2 rounds of the application. That is on or before the deadline of 30th November. If you ask me, I would advise that you submit at the earliest that you can without compromising on the quality of your application, of course. I say this also because when your application is going through an admissibility review, SciencesPo can usually reach out to request for additional documents that they think is missing from your application. And once they do, the date for receiving your admission decision will be moved to the date for the next admission round. So for my case, I submitted within the first deadline, but they had to reach out to me to upload the transcript for my exchange semester. Since I submitted within the first deadline, I was supposed to get my feedback in December, but because of the missing document, I received in February. So the earlier the better, I would say, the earlier the better. References are a very important part of your application. In fact, this should be the first thing that you do as soon as you begin your application, so that you can give your referees enough time to prepare your reference the same way you are giving yourself time to prepare your application. It is very easy to request for your references on the application. When you go to the dedicated tab for references in your application, you fill in your reference details, and as soon as you save it, SciencesPo automatically sent them an email containing your request and the dedicated link through which they can complete the recommendation process. The recommendation was actually in the form of a questionnaire, so my referees did not have to upload a letter per se. They had rather had to answer some assessment-based questions. Some require shorter responses, some require longer responses, while the others, they have to check off some boxes. You have to verify whether the program of your choice require both or either academic or professional references, and how many recommendations you need. For academic references, you need a professor or a lecturer who has taught you from your school and provide their official or university email address. For example, victoria@sciencespo.ff or victoria.qnst.edu.gh. Any @gmail.com email will not work. They don't allow academic advisors, or as we usually like to call it in Nigeria, level advisors, to serve as your academic references. For example, my program required a minimum of 2 academic references. A professional reference was optional. I could choose to provide additional professional references or academic references up to a maximum of 5 total recommenders, but I just sticked with the minimum. And both of my recommenders were lecturers, meaning I've taken their courses during my undergraduate program. And if you or your recommenders encounter technical issues, just send an email to the admissions team. They usually respond to email. When choosing your recommenders, don't just choose title. I will advise you to choose somebody who knows you well and can evaluate your skills, your personal, academic, or professional qualities in the best possible manner and give a positive assessment about you. You will usually receive email notifications where your referees submit their references, and it will be reflected from your application dashboard. So keep checking and keep following up with them to ensure that they submit by deadline. By the way, references are confidential, so you won't be able to read the contents of your recommendations from your dashboard. Now let's talk about the motivation letter. This is indeed one of the things that can change everything and set you apart in your application. It should be written in the language of your program, whether it is English Thoughts or French Thought program. And I think the motivation letter has a maximum of 1,000 words, so you want to use it well. Also, 1,000 words is the maximum, so it doesn't mean that you have to max it up. Even if you have 950 words of solid, well-presented motivation that you're satisfied with, I suppose that's okay in my opinion. Not to very specifically motivation, why the program you choose, your background, your relevant experiences, and your interests matches the profile and curriculum of the master's program that you're applying to. You're also demonstrating in a letter that you have a very good understanding of what you're applying to and that you've done your research about SciencesPo. You may want to include things like how the classes, the experience, resources, and even the network at SciencesPo will prepare you to achieve your professional goals, and also what you plan to bring on board and how you plan to integrate with the SciencesPo community. You can express them in different forms. In my opinion, there's no one single perfect format or template to writing a winning motivation. Let your creativity flow, but in in everything that you do. Don't compromise on presentation, structure, and clarity. How you present your topic is very, very, very important. Choice of words matter. It is how you get them to see you in the way that you want them to, and in a well-structured manner that communicates your motivation clearly, and make sure that there is a flow, there is a connection between the different elements and different parts of your motivation and of your application as a whole. So while you're writing your application, probably you would mention your background, experiences, internships, your goals, and make sure that there is something that connects all of them together. And also don't just highlight your achievements for the purpose of just highlighting them. You want to present them in a way that demonstrates purpose and meaning. Also, make sure that your CV is clean and organized. I like to tell my friends applying, no matter what you do, no matter who you are, try not to exceed 2 pages maximum for your CV. I don't care what you do. I don't care who you are. Try not to exceed 2 pages. It usually do helps to streamline your experience and your CV to the things that have the most effect on your application in general, and the things that are very, very relevant to probably the program that you're applying for. For me, I'll make sure that some of the very important qualities that I did not have the chance to talk about in my motivational letter was reflected on my CV, because honestly, there's a reason for having your CV and there's a reason for having you to write a motivational letter. So your motivational letter shouldn't be like a repetition of your CV. They should complement each other. And also to maximize that 2 pages, it helps to clean up every irrelevant thing out of your CV. So if you're having things like age, gender, the picture, or even the reference part of your CV, you can take all of those out. There are a few eligibility requirements that you have to meet. You have to hold a citizenship in a country within Africa, must have completed or currently be enrolled in a bachelor's degree program at one of SciencesPo's institution of reference. So the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program actually have a list of institutions of reference. For example, the Nigerian universities on this list are University of Ibadan, University of Nsukka, Covenant University, and a few others. And some of the Ghanaian universities on this list are University of Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Cape Coast. Or you must have completed or currently enrolled in a training, foundation, or mentoring program offered by a teaching program organization partnering with the MasterCard Foundation. I'll add the link to this list in the description box. You have to be able to demonstrate that you're in genuine need of funding for an higher education, show some level of commitment in achieving change in Africa, particularly in the areas of public policy, major political, environmental, and societal transitions. And I think this is because SciencesPo is a social science university, so it does make lots of sense. And you have to be under the age of 35 when you begin the master's program. If you want to know more about the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program in general, I made a video about it. You can check it out. So usually at the initial part of your application to SciencesPo, after filling your personal details and background, the scholarships that you are eligible for and their deadlines will be reflected on your portal. In fact, that you're eligible or you can see it on your portal doesn't imply automatic application. You have to validate some requirements and documents. Somewhere, I think in the funding part of your application, you'll be asked if you want to apply to the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program. If you choose yes to apply, a new set of questions would open up. You have to fill in like your family information, answer some additional essay questions, upload additional relevant documents. There were about 3 additional essay questions with a maximum of 250 words each. For your MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program essays, you would usually be required to talk about your leadership experiences or service and community engagement. You want to highlight your unique experiences that shows your passion to give back to your community. For light tips on how to approach these questions, you can check out my video where I highlight everything that you need to know about the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program. The main supporting documents, I think, is the proof of financial situation. So usually we have to upload a pay slip or income statement, tax statement, or if you do not have access to any of this, a legal document attesting to your financial situation, or a scholarship document if you had received scholarships in the past. So for me, I uploaded a scholarship certificate because I had a scholarship for the entirety of my 4 years undergraduate program. But from what I know, bank statements are usually not accepted. So here are a few questions that I usually get asked the most, and I believe that I've already addressed in this video, but I want to highlight them again. How do I apply for an application fee waiver at SciencesPo? For the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program at SciencesPo, you do not have to specifically apply for a waiver or apply to the scholarship program through a different procedure before applying to SciencesPo. Application to both SciencesPo and the scholarship are done through the same application process on the same portal. You submit to both the school and the scholarship in the same process inside the same application. Your application fee will automatically be waived once you satisfy all the MasterCard Foundation Scholarship Program's condition and upload all the relevant documents. Another question is about recommendation letter. So in the SciencesPo application procedure, you as an applicant on your side of the application cannot upload the recommendation letter on behalf of your recommenders. SciencesPo references is in an assessment-based format, so you would have to fill in your references information, and SciencesPo will send them an automatic email including the link and every information that they need to complete a recommendation letter from their end. That being said, your application should be well prepared, well thought out, and well presented. Put as much energy as you put into your scholarship essay to the SciencesPo motivational essay as well. The SciencesPo motivational letter is where you explain to the admissions committee why SciencesPo. The MCF essays is where you get to explain your financial situation and why you deserve the scholarship. So don't mix them up. Don't compromise on the readability and the clarity of your application. Every information you need or anything that you are not clear about is probably on the website. I'll add in the description the links what makes an application unsuccessful. You might want to look at them so you could know what you should be avoiding or what you should be paying more attention to in preparing your application. And I wish you all the best in your application to SciencesPo. I'll be in the comment section answering your questions if you do have any, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with people who you think would find this video useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.